Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shrunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. We have studied about deeper qualities and not just like some people equate devotional service with external activities like rituals. And they say, oh, I have performed my devotional service. But what we are hearing here is so much deeper. It's about the bhakti behind those actions, which actually constitutes as devotional service. It's not just performing rituals which becomes devotional service. And that's actually the essence of devotional service, to have bhakti, right? Like, things like devoted, like tolerance and mercifulness and friendly, all these things we don't think when we're like busy just doing things. Oh, I have to do that, I have to get that done. But it's the emotion and the devotion behind the action which actually Krishna wants. I'm remembering Shabari from Ramayana. She used to every day meditate, if and Ram will come, I will make him sit here and I will sit down and I will watch him, and then I will give him this kind of asana, and I will wash his feet in this way. I will offer this bhoga and I will do that, and I will say this sentence to him and he may respond in this way and I will respond like this and I will glorify him. And he was used to meditate. And then when Lord Ram arrived, she completely forgot everything. She just became so overwhelmed and tears were flowing from her eyes. And she was saying, oh, Lord Ram, I forgot to do this for you and I forgot that. And then she just had these forest fruits and she was biting it to make sure they were good and giving it to Lord Ram. So she completely forgot all the rituals and all the rules and everything. But Lord Ram said, you see those tears with which you're washing my feet, the tears which is flowing, that is what is devotion for me, and that is what is pleasing me. So, Krishna doesn't need our bhoga or donations, it doesn't need it, but the intention with which we give, that is what he needs, the intention, the bhakti. Okay, we can continue. I'll start and then Mataji, you can continue.
Okay.
They are peaceful and never deviate from scriptural principles. Most importantly, Mother, true saints serve me continuously to satisfy me. They renounce all other connections such as family and friends. Immersed in hearing about me, the Supreme Lord, or about my pure devotees, they experience so much transcendental pleasure. They forget the miseries of this world. Let's pause there. When we hear about Krishna, Nityam Bhagavata Sevya, then all other trivial matters takes backseat. And then we forget the miseries of the world. This reminds me of Parikshit, right? He was dying in a few days. And he wasn't concerned about his hunger. He wasn't concerned, oh my God, I got cursed and this is going to happen. And that. No, he was so absorbed in listening about the glories of the Lord. He was asking questions and he didn't care. When we go to say, listen to some story, and we say, oh, I also had this difficulty. Oh, my friend also had something taken away and this happened and that happened. So the mind immediately focuses on our difficulties or what we want. But Parikshit, he was not at all putting himself in the center. He didn't care. He didn't even say, oh, really, this happened to that king. Also, you see, I'm also going to die in a few days. He was not putting himself in the center. He was focused on the Lord so much that he found so much absorption, so much taste, and they completely forget about the miseries of this world. It's not even forgetting. I mean, he's going to die in a few days. How can you forget that? But it didn't matter to him. What mattered is the Lord. He wanted to just listen about the qualities of the Lord. That is the power of glorifying the Lord. That is the power of studying Srimad Bhagavatam. Kardama had left, and Devotee is realizing Kardama had so many of these wonderful saintly qualities. And Kapila Dev is now instructing his mother, and he's very clearly indicating, I am the Supreme Lord who has come as your son. So he's imparting the wisdom to his mother. Virtuous lady, I have described the qualities of great devotees in divine consciousness who are free from attachment. Anyone desiring freedom from material misery must associate with such saints. Devahuti sighed. Her husband had those qualities and had renounced his family life without difficulty. She, though, was just a fallen, conditioned soul. So we read till there, just refreshing it. Her humility made Kapila smile. She was his mother, a highly advanced devotee. It was only because of his yoga maya that she exhibited ignorance, enabling him to deliver his teachings for the good of the world. Kapila continued, my dear mother, I will now explain how one should associate with my pure devotees and how the results unfold. Such saints discuss my pastimes and teachings in a way that pleases the ear and satisfies the heart. By such discussions, one contemplates and tries to understand my transcendental activities. He thus advances on the path of liberation, going through three important stages. Firstly, his faith in spiritual truths becomes firm. Secondly, he acquires a taste for such discussions. Finally, his eternal loving relationship with me awakens. By systematically discussing my pastimes as they are revealed by authorized sources, one becomes increasingly advanced in spiritual life, losing interest in material enjoyment in this life and the next. This is the best yoga practice as it directly connects one with me, the Supreme Person. Simply by hearing and chanting about me, one easily spiritualizes his consciousness exactly as mystic yogis do by the difficult Ashtanga process. By continuously engaging in such bhakti yoga and thereby rising above the modes of nature, one sees how everything should be used for my pleasure rather than enjoyed or falsely renounced. With his mind thus fixed on me, he attains my association in that same life. Wow, such an assurance. Any realizations or any points? Any comments?
Yeah, it was mentioned in the last paragraph we read, like the saintly person, when they are fixed on the Lord, they have to renounce their family and friends. But in the Grihastha life, we have to remain in the family and continue our devotional service. So these two things are different here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as
This is what.
very good question. So as Kapila is explaining, he's actually speaking about the renouncing the fruits of, see here, when it says renounce all other connections, it doesn't mean we renounce our duties, but it's about giving up the, oh, this is mine. My wife is meant for my pleasure. My children are meant for my pleasure. This is my family, which means they should benefit me. That we have to renounce the sense of ownership. We have to renounce the desire to enjoy the results of that family life. That's a saint. A normal, mundane materialist, the guy will say, hey, I'm bringing home money, so you should behave the way I want. That's like a materialist. But a saintly person, he is renouncing, he's not saying this is my family, hey guys, you're meant to please me, No, he's saying this is Krishna's family, I am a servant, I'm doing my duty of providing for the family, but they're not attached to the results. They're not attached to controlling the members of the family for their pleasure. They are a saintly devotee means they focus on pleasing the Lord. So when you see your family members as devotees and not as people who are meant for your sense gratification, right?
Yeah, his own possession. Yeah. Okay.
So there are two levels of renunciation. One level of renunciation is what Kardama could do, which means leave the family behind and go ahead and go to the forest and become a monk, right? A sage. But here Kapila is discussing about saintly qualities, which means, like Devahuti, she's a woman. She's not going to go into the forest alone and do tapasya. But he's instructing a woman about what means saintly, means to renounce all connections. I'll give you an example. Say something happens within the family, the husband disappoints us, or the husband doesn't treat us very nicely, or we feel a sense of rejection and dejection, and we're feeling, oh, husband is supposed to do A, B, and C. Why they're not doing? Why they're not doing it? Why my husband is not thinking to please me? All these kind of questions. It means that I'm still stuck in this mundane expectations of family life. But instead, if I see, okay, all this is happening because Krishna wants me to turn to him. He's showing me that nobody in this material world can actually protect me and how do you say, please me or help me to remain happy. They cannot. So the point is, the connection can either lead us to disappointment or detachment. Disappointment is like, oh, my husband is not taking care of me nicely, and I'm feeling so bad. So that means we're still connected. But then if we're thinking, oh, look, my husband, he's a devotee, he's doing his own thing, he has his limitations, and Krishna's mercy that I'm not like, like, how do you say, he's not giving me all the material pleasures so that I'm not able to like cling to him. But instead, every time there's like a little prick happening, a hurt happening, I'm turning to Krishna. So that means giving up connection. If we keep the connection, it'll hurt us, it'll disappoint us, we'll feel sad, we will feel depressed, we'll keep thinking about our husbands more and more. Why he's not doing this, why he's not doing that? And we keep thinking about the husband. That means our connection is still tied to the family. But as soon as we say, this must be Krishna's arrangement for me to be more serious in spiritual life. Oh, my husband doesn't like to take me out for movies or shopping or whatever. Okay, I'm just giving a random example here. But if we can cut the connection, meaning cut the connection of enjoyment, sense enjoyment, and just say, look, my husband is allowing me to do devotional service. He's also a devotee. He has this weaknesses. But my actual goal is Krishna, and my relationship with my husband is in relation to Krishna. Of course, it's a higher level, right? Of course, it's here. Devahuti has already finished her motherhood duties. The daughters are married, the husband has left. So this instruction of give up everything is meant for a woman who is in a renounced stage of life. At the same time, for a devotee to cultivate this detachment, it makes us happy. The more we are attached to family life, the more we try to find connection in this world, the more we will be disappointed. So what Kapila is trying to say is freedom is principle of freedom. Don't be, don't get stuck in this cycle of attachment and connection, because it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So happiness or distress, we connect Krishna. We bring Krishna in. Okay, thank you, Krishna, for this. Oh, so nice. My husband is taking me to Vrindavan for the yatra. Oh, this is so nice. So Krishna is the goal there. Oh, my husband is not giving me any gifts. He's not taking me out. He's not doing. Oh, this must be Krishna's plan, so I can do more devotional service. That is somebody who has renounced the fruits of housing, grihastha life. Something like that. Okay. Of course, there is an element of renunciation for Devahuti, which may not be directly applicable to some of us who are younger in our grihastha life, and we need to give our hearts and minds into our motherhood, or whatever, taking care of homely duties, etc. But always, as devotees, we should remember in the back of our mind that all these things I'm doing for Krishna. All these things are connected. So as long as it's connected to Krishna, it will purify me. As long as it's connected to my enjoyment, it will entangle me. That's why Srila Prabhupada in Bhagavad Gita lecture, he says, marriage is not meant for happiness. Marriage is meant for peace. Okay, this is my partner, this is my husband, this is my wife, and for life, this is the person. And then it's a sacrifice. And it brings us peace. When we do sacrifice, it brings us peace. But if I run after this will give me happiness, it's such a mistake. But if we do this as a sacrifice, then it's service also, and the connection is connected to Krishna, and it doesn't entangle us. It's a balance, And then, of course, we think of Krishna more. So that's why disappointments are a good thing. Not that we run away to the forest. Where is the forest anyway? We all live in the cities. So why can we run away to the forest? But it's the attitude. It's the attitude of detachment and putting Krishna in it.
Remaining in the family and getting detached slowly.
Yeah, gradually. Exactly. And attachment to Krishna is more important than detachment. Detachment to family life will happen because we are bound to this material world. It will disappoint. Nobody can say this is a perfect marriage, this is a perfect thing. How long? Even if they say that, how long? The person is going to get old, the person is going to one day get irritated. This is the nature, right? But attachment to Krishna should increase more and more, because there are so many saints and sages and monks who are very detached from material life and material enjoyment, but they were not attached to Krishna. But we have seen in whole Bhagavatam again and again, there were so many kings, so big kingdom and opulence and queens and, so many children, all kinds of enjoyments, but they were very attached to Krishna. So attachment to Krishna is our priority and is higher than detachment to matter. Would you like to continue reading, Mataji?
By systematically discussing my pastimes as they are revealed by authorized sources, one becomes increasingly advanced in spiritual life, losing interest in material enjoyment in this life and the next. This is the best yoga practice as it directly connects one with me, the Supreme Person. Simply by hearing and chanting about me, one easily spiritualizes his consciousness exactly as mystic yogis do by the difficult Ashtanga process. By continuously engaging in such bhakti yoga and thereby rising above the modes of nature, one sees how everything should be used for my pleasure rather than enjoyed or falsely renounced. With his mind thus fixed on me, he attains my association in that same life.
Jai.
A rustling sound made them look up to see a group of maid servants hurrying along the forest path carrying refreshments. Smiling, he said, "Your breakfast has arrived. Please refresh yourself. I will continue after my morning prayers." Kapila touched his mother's feet and respectfully excused himself. He entered the Saraswati, half submerging himself, and began to recite sacred mantras. Rangini jumped to her feet. "I don't know about you, my lady, but all that philosophy has made me hungry." Dehavoti smiled. "I will just have coconut milk this morning, Rangini." Rangini craned her head to survey the different dishes being laid out. Oh, mangoes, melons, pomegranates. Her eyes widened with delight as she spotted the cooked food. Samosas, kachoris, sandesh, rasgulla. "Are you sure you only want a drink?" Shama was already walking back with two tender coconuts still in their green skins, their tops sliced off, and thin bamboo straws placed in them. As Devahoti sipped the juice, her three companions made up platters. Sitting next to her, Medha picked up a slice of mango and offered it to Devahoti. "This looks so juicy. Just try this piece." Devahoti opened her mouth and let Medha slip the mango in. "Oh, it's delicious." Medha laughed. "I knew you would like it. Here, I bought this platter for you." Devahuti felt grateful to have such loving companions. The four of them settled down to their morning refreshments, syrup running down her chin. Rangini said, "Personally, I didn't understand a thing. How about you?" Shama leaned over and wiped Rangini's chin with a napkin. "What didn't you understand, funny girl?" "Well, to start with, Mistress Devahuti's question." Turning to Devahoti, she added, "I know you have been morose since your husband left, my lady. I was expecting you to ask something like, 'How can I overcome my depression?' Or maybe, 'How can I get my husband back?'" Her three companions laughed. Encouraged, Rangini continued, "I was completely flummoxed when you asked, 'What is the relationship between Prakriti and Purusha?' What has that got to do with the problem at hand?" Devahoti replied, "Well, I have heard my husband say that misery is due to that relationship. I thought if I understood this better, I would stop suffering." Shama asked, "What is Prakriti and Purusha?" "Prakriti means female and Purusha means male," replied Devahoti. Rangini stopped eating. "So, suffering of because of the relationship between men and women?" Devahoti sighed. "So it seems." Rangini put her fists on her hips. "Aren't we single ladies lucky?" Then they stopped laughing. Mera spoke. "Purusha means enjoyer. The term refers to the Supreme Lord as well as one who imitates him as an enjoyer. Prakriti means the enjoyed. Factually, the Lord is the only Purusha, and everyone and everything else is meant to be enjoyed by him, and thus and others Prakriti. The terms can also refer to men and women because men enjoy women. However, since both men and women are trying to enjoy the material energy, all conditioned souls can be referred to as Purushas and material nature as Prakriti. Shama, who had been listening intently, said, "Whether you knew it or not, my lady, your question was quite complicated. As well as asking about the relationship between men and women, it could be a question about the relationship between God and the living beings, or the living beings and the material nature." Rangini screwed up her face. So exactly how did he answer any of those questions? They all turned to Meda, who was finishing her breakfast. She washed her hands from her pitcher, then dried them with the end of her sari. Seeing everyone looking expectantly at her, she said, I recall he started his reply by explaining that the yoga which re-establishes the soul's eternal relationship with Krishna is the best because it automatically frees one from suffering. Rangini was still confused. So how was that an answer? Shama said, let's discuss it. I'm sure we'll get some insight if we are patient. Turning to Devahoti, who was listening intently, she said, what is your view, mistress? Devahoti brushed her hair off her face. I think he meant that when we realize we are Prakriti and Krishna is the Purusha, we will stop suffering. At present, we are falsely trying to be enjoyers and therefore experiencing misery. To stop it, we need to practice the form of yoga, which teaches us how to be enjoyed by Krishna. Meera said, yes, that's how I understand it also. Rangini huffed, fair enough. Maybe that bit connects to your question, but he said a lot more, none of which I understood. Devahuti said, I also found it hard to understand everything he said, but discussing it now between us is helping. Shama turned to Medha. You have the best memory of a sir. Can you recall what Kapila said? Medha closed her eyes in concentration for a few moments. He spoke about the need to purify the mind of attraction to matter and redirect it to Krishna. When the mind is cleansed of lust and greed, we see our true spiritual self. Rangini looked with wide-eyed confusion at each of them in turn. Am I the only one here who cannot see how this has anything to do with Prakriti and Purusha? Shama placed an affectionate hand on Rangini's lap. It's hard to see the connection because Kapila did not use those particular words in his reply. But I can see how he answered the question. How about you, Medha? Medha nodded. Yes, I can see it too. Now you mention it, Shama. Presently, our minds are attracted to matter, Prakriti. We must instead become attracted to Krishna, the Purusha. Then we will realize our eternal, blissful spiritual nature. Devahoti's face brightened. Yes. Then he explained that the only process which can effect this shift in consciousness is Bhakti Yoga, which means to discuss Krishna's pastimes and teachings in the company of pure devotees. Such discussions give so much transcendental pleasure that we will forget our miseries. She looked gratefully at her friends. I feel such pleasure discussing with you three dear friends. They each blushed and looked down, gratified that they had helped lessen Devahoti's unhappiness. It was lighten Devahoti's unhappiness. After a few moments, Medha said, I was interviewed by this comment that discussing about Krishna with pure.
We'll pause there. Discussing, we'll pause till Devahuti's unhappiness, and tomorrow we'll continue what Medha's saying. Actually, this discussion helps us also, right? It gives us the whole context, and it's like a refreshing, like a summary, right? It's like a revision, revision of whatever Kapila was saying, right? This is very helpful. And all these ladies, it's very, all these descriptions of them arriving with the food, and it all kind of gives us the the creative picture of what was happening in the forest. It's not like Devahuti was sitting alone. She had all these assistants also listening, and all this has been documented, see, for our benefit.
They were enjoying the morning breakfast and discussing about their problems about the Lord.
Yeah, that's how it's done, right?
coconut water and
Yeah.
everything.
And I'm sure that by listening all these great philosophical things, she wasn't so interested in enjoying like a great meal and all that. She was like, okay, coconut water is enough. Okay, we'll pause here. I'll mark this and then we'll continue tomorrow. Thank you very much. I see that somebody joined, Radha Priya. Welcome. And you're a little early for the next session.
Yeah, sure. Actually, sorry. Morning hours are really, really very packed.
Yeah, we usually do only 30 minutes and then we continue. So it's like,
Yeah. I can hear, but I cannot read because I have to do some of the works. So sometimes I can sit for in between some minutes or like
no,
that.
no problem.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us and hope to see you tomorrow too. Hare